I'm curious, Jamie, about what you understood about the whole domain of being remarkable. You were mentioning your insights from the work of Seth Godin and how you see that this is super important, especially now. It can be important for us, it can be important for people that are following your work. So I'd love to know more of your perspective.
Yeah, it is a great question. And when I first wanted to start my own business, the only person who I knew about who talked about marketing in a way that made sense to me was this guy called Seth Godin. So some of the first materials I ever consumed were from Seth Godin, and he really helped kind of inform how I think about relationship and that sort of thing. Anyway, he brought out a book. I don't even remember when it was, a long time ago, called Purple Cow. And the whole idea of Purple Cow was that you want to create products or services or businesses or offerings that are remarkable. And because when something is remarkable, people remark on it. And as everyone knows, word of mouth is the best marketing strategy there is. You know, you'll see this if a video goes massively viral or a Twitter post goes massively viral. That's because it's got word of mouth. It's passing from person to person. Or a pop song. If there's one of those pop songs that, you know, as summer's coming up, there'll be one or two pop songs this year that are earworms that just get in your head. Well, they get in your head because they're remarkable. I remember the very first I'm dating myself. The very first Spice Girls song, "Wannabe," that was a remarkable song. Not because it was so great; it was just very fresh. It was unlike anything anyone had heard. So anyway, you want to. His whole assertion was you want to make something remarkable. And so my first experience of creating a remarkable product was my NLP tips. I wrote a newsletter back when people weren't writing newsletters. So this was 2003. It was early days. And every week I wrote an article about just how I thought about the mind and the brain and that sort of thing. And people started to share it and it started to grow and spread. And so I was like, oh yeah, okay. So if you do your best work and share it, that can be remarkable. But then I had the idea to create a deck of hypnosis cards. These were playing cards with hypnotic language patterns written on them, and people could play games and learn to use these ways of speaking. So I created my first card deck, which was Ericksonian hypnosis cards, in I think it was 2003 or 2004. Well, they caught fire like people were. So it literally my for years, loads of people called me Jamie Salad because Salad was the name of my company. And just loads of people bought those cards. I ended up creating like 5 different decks. There were Ericksonian hypnosis cards, there were irresistible influence cards, there were NLP coaching cards, there were belief buster cards, and there were instant happiness cards. Oh, yeah, and instant wealth cards. So 6 decks. And we sold literally many, many tens of thousands of those. I think like something like 45 or 50,000 decks of cards over the years. Like it was a lot. People, because they were remarkable, they would sit on someone's coffee table and they did a bunch of stuff. They let the person who owned them know that this was something they were interested in and care about, but they were also remarkable. Like people would go, oh, what are those? And then people could demonstrate it and show it. I would even do talks at conferences and I'm just seeing, I don't have a deck handy, but I'd literally just go card by card and I'd weave them into hypnotic patterns. And people would be like, I'd have like 100 decks of cards at the back of the room. And I'd say, let me show you how powerful these are. And I'd use the irresistible influence ones, telling people to, but people can, buy these cards and use them for yourself because they're so fun to use and this sort of stuff. And then people would laugh their heads off and then go buy all the cards. Like it was really, so there was something remarkable about it. And I was thinking about it again because the thing about something remarkable, for it to be a truly remarkable product, what I think it was a truly remarkable product, it doesn't just have to be something that people will talk about and talk enthusiastically about and share with their friends and that sort of thing. It also has to deliver a big result. It has to deliver a result that's over and above what people expect. And so when I wrote the book Clarity, I wanted that to be remarkable. And it was like it sold very, very well because for most people in the personal development space and that sort of thing, they never come across these principles. Like geez, I mean, you look at the principles that Sid Banks discovered. What a remarkable discovery. Like the fact that I'm even doing the work that I do today, or the fact that I even know Andrea, the fact that you guys are even listen, that I even, the fact that I even have an audience is a function of Sid Banks seeing something that was so impactful that it spread by word of mouth long before people had, you know, social media channels and that sort of thing, and is now has influenced millions of people around the world and will continue to do so. So, as I look around my home, I can see numerous remarkable things that product creators have developed and designed. And as I think about the different services that I've adopted in my life from one person or another, or one company or another, many of them are remarkable. Lots of them and more of them are unremarkable, right? But the bottom line is for something to truly kind of catch fire in a positive way, it's got to be remarkable.
The moment that you're creating something, Jamie, what is informing you, what is letting you know that you're creating something that has a good chance to be remarkable?
I mean, that it's a great question, and I wish I could engineer it, but I can't. But it almost always arrives as an insight. I'm like, I know I could do this, and it'll have a sense of that would be wonderful. And there's a feeling that comes with it and everything. So for instance, I had a sudden insight because I've been experimenting with AI coaching apps over the last couple of years, and most of them are really bad. I'll take that back. Most of the ones that I've tried haven't been much cop. I haven't been very happy with them. And when I first set out to see if I could create an app that can kind of replicate what I do, the quality of AI training available just wasn't good enough to do it. So I kind of gave up on it. And then the other day, looking at my experience with Claude and Perplexity and the tools we're using, I suddenly thought, hang on a second. It's time to have another go at creating an AI coaching app. So if I can create an AI coaching app that reliably gives people insights and realizations into who they really are and how their experience is created, and that reliably helps people get unstuck and get fresh perspective on their situation and solve their problem and help them live with more peace of mind and well-being and clarity, that would be remarkable. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. And I don't know if at the current level of development of I don't know whether that's even going to be possible yet. But I'm going to give it my best shot because here's the other thing. AI is getting better and better and better. And at some point, it will be good enough to do a damn good job of that. Now, you may be listening to this and thinking, well, Jamie, that sounds like, yeah, that would be remarkable, but won't you be putting yourself out of a job? Well, yes and no. It seems to me that if I could create a AI Jamie Smart type coaching app that's doing a pretty amazing job, there are going to be some people who want the real thing. So, so yeah, that seems like it might be remarkable. I had that hit of, hang on a second, that would be remarkable. I'll give you another example. When I read Peter Diamandis's X Prize, the Future Vision X Prize, the Storytelling X Prize, and I was like, yeah, I want to be part of that. So that X Prize is itself remarkable. I've told you guys about it. I've shared it on Twitter. We're going to be continuing to do that. So the X Prize is remarkable. But now I want to create a movie that's remarkable. I want to create a movie that doesn't just tell a great story. I want to create a movie that if people watch it, they wake up to who they really are in the process of watching it. So that would be a remarkable movie. Again, it seems like a stretch. It's like, can you really do that, Jamie? It's like, I don't fucking know, but I'm going to give it a try, right? So that to me, something that's remarkable. Give you another example. I'm in the process of writing four papers for academic journals. The first one, The Bag Cannot Contain Itself, is a logical refutation of materialism. The second one is a solution to an old riddle called Hume's riddle of induction, which has perplexed philosophers for hundreds of years. So it's a solution to that. That's the second paper. The third one, these two might flip order, is on implication-based learning, which I've talked about in my books, but I suddenly realized it's not encoded in the psychological literature anywhere. So the third one's going to be about implication-based learning, and I'm working on that. I'm working on all of these at the moment. The fourth one is a paper on subtractive psychology and a first principles understanding of the mind that will draw on each of those other ones if they get published. And so it's a strategic approach to land the first principles of psychology paper. Now, taken together, that will be a remarkable package. To me, like I say, that'll be a remarkable package. It'll be a remarkable package for philosophers and geeks. I'm not expecting the man in the street to go, "Oh my God, have you seen the latest article from Jamie Smart in Psychology of Mind Journal?" No, no. But for the people who are in that world, if I do it right and do a good job of it, they'll be remarkable. So I think the other thing that there are two things you asked, Andrea, how do you know or how do you go about creating something remarkable? One thing, it has to come from insight and inspiration. While there might maybe lots of research involved beforehand and that sort of thing, it's for me anyway, it's always an aha moment that has me latch onto, this is what we could do. It's always that. And if you stop and think about it, massively exponential businesses like Airbnb or Facebook or Meta, as it's now called, or Uber or Tesla, for that matter, none of them started out going, okay, Airbnb didn't go, here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a business to massively disrupt the hotel industry. They were creating a way that in a town where it was hard to get a place to sleep for a reasonable price, a way of getting people's, making it so people could rent out their couch and using social media, Web 2 type technology to facilitate it. And then at one point, they suddenly went, hang on a second, someone had an insight. Now, Hyatt Hotels industry had access to the same data that Airbnb did. They had access to the same technology that Airbnb did, but they didn't have the insight. So the insight is always what sparks something remarkable. But then the other thing you got to do, in my opinion anyway, you got to be willing to grow and do hard things to create it, because almost always the remarkable thing you get an inspiration, a vision, a realization about is going to be beyond your current capability. So when I first had the insight of, I know I'm going to do language patterns on playing cards, I was like, how do you make playing cards? How do you design them? Who even makes those? Like, I didn't know anything about that. So there was a bunch of stuff to learn and figure out. Then a dream I'd always had, you may say, Jamie, you have boring dreams, but here you go. I really wanted, because I'm passionate about being able to use questions in an effective way. And so I really wanted, for years after I brought that first deck of cards out, I said, man, I'd love to create a deck of question cards that people could use to better understand the NLP meta model and powerful questions and that sort of thing. But I just couldn't figure it out. And then one day I went, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway. I had this vision of this amazing card deck that would be so useful for people. I didn't know how to do it, but I went, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. And I started working on it. Boom. It took weeks and weeks and weeks, but I created it. And people have said it was one of the most useful things they ever got. So, like, for me anyway, the create something remarkable journey starts with an insight or a realization or an enthusiasm or a nudge or a intuition about, yeah, that would be cool. Often it's something that I would have loved to have. Something like, oh man, if I'd have had this 3 years ago, that would have been amazing. So that's often, where it comes from. But then the other thing is, it's almost always going to be something you don't know how to do, where you're going to have to grow to create it, where you're going to have some faith in yourself to be able to move forward and find the answers and go on the journey and create something that is above and beyond everything else that's out there. So that's, for me, if something's worth creating like that, it's worth creating something that really goes above and beyond everything else that's currently available. So that's what I like to do.
It's very clear to me, Jamie, that being remarkable, creating something remarkable, it's always been important, but it's going to be even more important now that we are in an attention economy and
Yeah.
you're either remarkable or you're invisible. Now, it's an
Yeah, I think that's a
exaggeration,
good
but
way of putting it.
I think that's the direction. So for people that they want to understand, have an embodied understanding of this. I want to understand more what it means being remarkable, how I can be remarkable, how I can spot things that are remarkable. So they want to become connoisseurs of being remarkable. What could be, what could be useful? A good place to start.
Well, so here's a really simple example. If you've been to a movie that you just love and you're recommending it to your friends, that movie's remarkable. If your friends are recommending a movie to you and you go watch it and you're glad they recommended it to you, they're 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 sharing something that's remarkable with you. So I'll give you an example. I've got a buddy, one of my best mates, and he doesn't watch many movies and he hates drama. He doesn't like any drama. He doesn't really like there to be a lot of uh uh his favorite films are like the uh oh, what was that? The new used to be played by Edward Woodward, now is played by Denzel Washington. Anyway, the name will come back to me in a minute. Um but he likes films where there's never any doubt that the hero is gonna, even if he's really in a pinch, you know he's gonna be okay because he's the hero of the film. But I happen to know specific films that even though they won't pass his drama test at all, he'll still like them. So I recommend these to them, and then he'll like watch a trailer and he'll be like, "Oh, that looks horrible, but good." And he'll watch them and he'll like them. So I can tell which films are going to be worth remarking on to him. So a good place to understand yourself and what you find, because here's the other thing. This is really important. I don't think that anything is neutrally remarkable. And you can't go out and say, oh, let me just figure out what people are going to find remarkable. The thing that's going to make something remarkable is it's going to start with you. It's going to start with you feeling like, oh yeah, oh man, that would be so cool. That would be amazing. That, like you want to be, if you want to become a connoisseur of that which is remarkable, you want to find out what lights you up? What would have you tell someone about something? What would have you pass on a message? What would have you share something or recommend something or give something a 5-star rating? Like I give you an example. Emma and I went to the movies the other night and we watched a movie which is a Brazilian film. And I think the English title of it is called The Blue Trail, but the original Brazilian title was Le Ultimo Azul, I think, the last blue. So we go see this film. I didn't even read anything about it or watch a trailer. I knew that it was sort of a sci-fi-ish set in a dystopian future made on a low budget. And I was kind of like, that's not going to be very good, right? But we were stuck for something to see. It was playing at our favorite movie theater, so we went anyway. So we watched this movie. It was bloody brilliant. It was bloody brilliant. Just one of the best beautiful, simple, brilliant films I've seen in ages. So I will recommend. I immediately went on Letterboxd, wrote a 5-star review saying how wonderful it was. I would recommend that movie to anyone. It's absolutely beautiful, life affirming, wonderful, brilliant, brilliant film. Uh, it's remarkable. Now I'm aware of that in myself. I'm aware of the things I see. Here's the thing: people recommend things to help someone else and only on the assumption that it'll reflect well on them, right? So no one's recommending things that make them look bad, ever, ever, ever. And that's trustworthy. Like if something's remarkable to you, if something's worth recommending, sharing, telling people about, that lets you know something about not only what matters to you, but how you would like to be perceived in relation to sharing something. So it's all tied up with referrals and recommendations and that sort of thing. For something to be remarkable, you got to be pretty sure that for the right person, they're going to go, thank you so much for telling me about this. This is brilliant. This is just what I was looking for. This is just what I needed. I'm going to tell other people about it too. That lets you know something's remarkable.
Jimmy, I think you give me plenty to work on my remarkable sense. And until next time.
Thanks, Andrea.